Welcome back to another edition of Husker Huddle here on the Husker Sports Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Searles. Today we are just lucky to be graced with one of the greatest all-time Huskers, in my opinion. Three-time national champion winner, two-time All-American, two-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl champion, and the Big 12 All-Decade team, Grant Wistrom. Grant, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Jeremiah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I wanted to get your take on this. You being a leader when you were here, especially, really your whole career, what would you be saying as an older guy? Because there's going to be guys, you and I both know it, that aren't ready to go when football shows up because they haven't been having the babysitter, right? Duval can't be there pushing these guys and growing these guys. It's really up to the seniors. It's really up to the leaders of the team to make sure the younger guys are going. If you were one of the seniors, what would your message to the team be to just kind of keep them going and keep everyone on the right track?
It'd be the same message that Jason and I had and the seniors had when we were there. We had guys that weren't really toeing the line, weren't really upholding the standards that we had set. And so, luckily at that time, we still had access to the guys. The guys were still around. If they weren't showing up to workouts, we would go knock on their door and drag them out of their beds, and they would show up for the workouts. So it's a little bit different, but it's still like, guys, think about all the effort you've put in to get to this point. And yeah, it sucks, and yeah, we're in a crappy position right now, but don't come in ill-prepared. When the bell rings, you've got to answer it, and you've got to be ready to answer. So if you've got to go home right now and we can't be on campus training together, you better be doing everything you can possibly do to be ready when the call does come, because you never know what's going to come. And to not do that at this point, after the years of effort and work and sacrifice that you put in, you're just selling yourself short, man.
I completely agree. I think that's one thing that people don't understand is how much the seniors mean to the program. And these seniors have been through a lot here with Frost this year. You guys as a senior class were so strong. You had so many big personalities and big time players. And so I'm hoping that you can watch some of these guys and see some of these guys continue to grow. I think of guys like Matt Farniak, Brendan Hymas, that have been through a lot on the offensive side of the ball. I know we lose a lot of defensive side, but I think the senior leadership is going to be really important for this team. Grant, when you came to Nebraska, you came from Missouri. And I'm sure on your visit, you fell in love with Nebraska. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, what was the thing that you actually truly fell in love with Nebraska once you got here? Because I know once I got here, there were certain things that I didn't get to experience on my visit that made me want to call this place my home. But I'm sure you had those moments of once you got on campus, once you got here, that you were just like, man, this is why I truly love this place.
Yeah, what got me to Nebraska were the guys that were already there. I had a lot of good quality programs recruiting me, but I was a Husker. When I went there, I fit in right away. But what made me fall in love with Nebraska is the fans. It is the people of Nebraska. Truly the most passionate fan base in the country, no doubt about it. Man, they just live and breathe and die and love Nebraska football. And if you're a good person and you play hard and you just do good in the community, you can write your own ticket in Nebraska, because they care about good people. And if you're a good person and you play hard, you will be taken care of there. And it's an amazing environment. It is huge. And I especially love, I was reading on Twitter last night that we've got other football programs, fans, complimenting our fans, saying, like, if the Big Ten has a football season this year, a huge part of it is going to be because of Nebraska and Nebraska fans. And, and I think we're getting, our product on the field hasn't been amazing in the Big Ten, but that's going to change. I truly believe that. But I think our reputation as fans and people that love and support college football and just college sports in general in Nebraska is spreading throughout the Big Ten. So I really believe if the Big Ten gets to have a season this year, the Nebraska fans are a large part of it.
Grant, I got to ask, so I was actually on the team when we made the switch from the Big 12 to the Big 10, and it was a lot. People were either for it or for against it. Rewind back to 2011, whenever that was. What was your initial thought on Nebraska leaving the Big 12 and joining the Big 10?
It was a mixed bag for me. I thought it was a great move for the university. I didn't at the time, hindsight's always 2020. Didn't at the time like the direction that the Big 12 was moving, as far as I just kind of felt like when Texas came in, they were just kind of handed the keys to the kingdom and whatever they wanted to do with it. So we didn't really appreciate that. I thought, the future might have been with the Big 10. So I was excited for the university. For myself, I was having a little pity party because I only played in the Big 12. When Nebraska goes to the Big 10, nobody's going to ever remember what I did. But I got over that pretty quick. And, there's a lot of great football games in the Big 10. And, and we will be one of the great teams soon in the Big 10. But, you look back on the traditions of the Big 12 and things like that, and the opportunity maybe to get back into the Big 12 this season for one season, it did look pretty cool just for the nostalgia of things. But, I think that we're in the right place. We just got to start competing. And then once that happens, we're going to be great.
Absolutely. Well, one thing we like to do here on Husker Huddle is not just talk football, but we like to talk a little bit about life. What are you up to now, Grant? What is life doing for you here in 2020? Besides sitting at home for COVID?
For me personally, it's been busy, man. 2020 has been really busy. I'm involved in a mortgage company in Nebraska. I helping recruiting and marketing up there, Gershman Mortgage. So we've got 2 offices open now, one in Omaha, one in Lincoln. They're doing really well. And that's taken a large part of my time. And it's awesome because I get to get up to Lincoln and Nebraska and Omaha. I'm always looking for reasons to get back there. I don't get up there often enough. So having the work up there, I get to get back up there and be around fans and help people out in Nebraska. It's a great company up Gershman Mortgage. And so we're doing right by people, helping them get into their homes. But here in Missouri, I've applied for and won medical marijuana licenses, won a dispensary license and a manufacturing license. And so that was awarded in January of 2020. So we've got until January of 2021 to get both of those businesses up and running. So it's with the state going through COVID and every people in the state capitol who are running these programs are dealing with the same things we're dealing with. So it's slowed the process down a whole lot, but they're still kind of holding us to those timelines. So it's a bit scary right now, making sure that we're going to be able to be up and running at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from a lot of. Anytime you're working with, I'm working with the NFLPA right now to actually get my license to become an agent, and I haven't heard back from anyone in like 6 months. And it's like you want to get angry and like mad at these people, like, come on, man, like attention to details, respond back to me. But at the same time, you have to have that little bit of grace. Like, are they even in the office? Like, are they even doing anything? But that's really awesome about the medical marijuana. I want to talk about that for a second. I think that is something that can be really beneficial, not just in everyone, but in the athlete world. I think that the idea of, back when I was starting in the league and stuff, the idea that you get hurt, you go into the trainers and you get a little Altoid can full of the grab bag of pills, like, hey, you're good, you can play, versus the benefits of medical marijuana. I think that's going to be the next evolution in recovery a lot for some of these athletes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the veil is just finally getting lifted off of this plant. I think for so long it's been vilified unfairly. And the government is just now starting, it actually holds a patent on marijuana as a neuroprotectant. So there's validity to it as a medicine, whether people want to admit it or not. It's a valuable medicine. And I didn't know it at the time, but I started I knew I was using cannabis when I was in the NFL. But at that point, it was more to just help me come down after a game and just feel better and relax a little bit, probably not knowing all the side benefits that were coming with it. So the government's finally, like I said, kind of just letting people research it. They're releasing more cannabis into the research facility so that they can actually study all the great things that this plant can do for us. And then I truly believe when it goes federally legal and big pharma, as much as I'd like them to stay out of it, everything, when big pharma gets their hands on it, they're going to tear it apart, figure out why it's great for us, and probably make even better medicine out of it.
Yeah, I think you're completely right on that. I think that it's going to be really interesting here in the next 3 to 5 years how that all goes down. So, Grant, before we let you get out of here, again, we appreciate your time here on Husker Huddle. We got to talk a little Husker football, man. This year was going to be a huge year for Scott Frost in Year 3 program. It still has the potential to be, but with no spring ball, with the limited amount of camp. And I'm curious, how long do you think that this team going to be needed for like a fall camp? Now, granted, they're going to be in school. They're going to have all these things. How long would it be preparing wise when you can't have a true all day camp, meetings and stuff to get ready for a season? Like, how much prep time do you think the Big Ten would need to give these schools, and especially here at Nebraska, a chance before they could go kick off for season opener?
Yeah, I don't know, and that's what's scary when you want to talk about starting in October and November. First of all, you don't have any time for much time to play games in Nebraska. It's going to be some filthy weather that
Mm.
time of year, which is awesome, that kind of. But at the same time, like you're saying, how much prep time do you have? And I don't understand pushing back the season. And so now, if it's truly for the benefit of the athletes, and that's you're doing it to protect them, why? Why does pushing it off until October, November? Where's the benefit in that? How is that possibly helping people? By my reasoning, the flu is worse in October, November, December than it is in September. So why are we trying to push it back? If COVID behaves and travels, and we're worried about it's the spread, flus and sicknesses are worse when we're all hanging out in cold inside buildings. Why would we push football back into the cold part of the year? I don't understand it. I'm not a doctor, but it just doesn't make sense to me, man. And I really, truly don't know, like, if you're just going out and practicing 2 hours a day, how long it would take you to get ready for a season. It's certainly going to be not the same quality football. The athletes aren't going to be near as protected. They're not going to be in the shape they should be in by going through a camp. They're not going to be used to banging the way that they need to be. So it's not for the benefit of the student athlete. I truly don't believe that. I don't understand the reasoning of any of this, but I don't think pushing it back benefits the student athlete at all.
Absolutely, I agree. And it's really going to hurt some of these seniors that have aspirations to go to the NFL because, I mean, they might want to get out there, but if you're not ready to put the best film possible on the tape from the get-go, I mean, you don't have really – I mean, if it's only going to be an 8-game season, you don't have, like, the 2 or 3 games to kind of ramp yourself up. I mean, you got to come out the gates hot. And if you're trying to go to the NFL and they watch this and they go, man, this guy didn't come out the gates very well. He looks sluggish. He looks slow. That's going to really hurt their chances as well.
Yeah, I don't – it just – and it stinks all the way around.
No doubt. Well,
sucks.
let's take a quick look at this defensive line. I mean, we graduate the Davis brothers. We graduate Darian Daniels there in the middle to really hold it down. I mean, you watch these guys religiously, I'm sure, like I watch the offensive line. Is there some guy that you're excited about next year to maybe make that next step and become an elite force really on that front?
There were some young guys. Nelson came on at the end of last year. I feel like played some good football. I think there's a lot of guys there. And just what I love is they don't care about the stars behind the guy's name. They're recruiting guys that love to play football. So we have no idea the progress that these kids have made within a year within the program. Granted, being hamstrung a little bit with the lack of practices, but just kids that love to play football, you never know how much they're going to grow from one year to the next. Just a year in the weight room, a year around older players, just a year around what it's like to be a true collegiate athlete playing at the highest level, figuring that out. So whatever we saw last year is going to be markedly different. Hopefully we get to see it this year. So just overall, I'm expecting just the level of play to rise just with another year there in the program, learning the standards, being underneath the older guys, the great players that have left. It'll be a better football for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Grant, before we let you out here, I just want to say thank you again for joining us here on the Husker Huddle here on Husker Sports Network. Before we go, man, is there anything you want to say to Husker Nation here?
No, just love you guys. Hope I get to see everybody in a game in Lincoln this year.
Absolutely, man. Next time you're in town, we'll have to meet up and say hi.
Sounds good, Jeremiah. Thanks for having me on.